Changing a domain name can feel like a very scary thing to do, especially if you've got a website that's getting a reasonable amount of traffic. But don't panic. It's not as hard as you think. It's not as scary as you think. In this video, I'm going to take you through everything you need to know, everything you need to do to change your domain name on your WordPress website. Hello, it's Alex here from Brainstorm Force. I've been working with WordPress for well over 15 years, and I've changed many a domain name in that time. Now, there's a number of reasons why you might want to change your domain name. Maybe your business is rebranding. Maybe you want to change the TLD, the top level domain, from something like a .co.uk or a more local domain to a .com, a more international domain. Or maybe you've been hit with a Google penalty or some other site-wide penalty, and you need a new domain name to lose that penalty and the effect that it's having on your search engine rankings. Well, whatever the reason is you're changing your domain name, there are a few important things you need to remember when you change your domain name. First thing you need to remember is the URL structure. You want this to be the same on the new domain. So say, for example, on your old domain, you've got a page that is, I don't know, alex.co.uk/about-us. Well, then on the new site, which might be alex.com, it also needs to be /about-us. The main reason for this is when it comes to SEO, the fewer changes, the better. Don't change everything all at once. It just completely confuses and throws off the search engine. So keeping your URL structure the same is a very good idea when it comes to SEO. Of course, if you want to change your URL structure in the future, that's fine. But I'd recommend that you just do one thing at a time. Change the domain name, wait a little while, and then change the URL structure. The second thing you need to be aware of, and this again relates to SEO, is that you are probably going to lose a little bit of search engine traffic when you carry out a domain name change.
Wait, what?
Don't let this alarm you. It's very normal to see a dip in traffic when you do change your domain name. I've seen it pretty much on every site that I've done. But if you do it very carefully and if you follow the steps in this video, you should recover that traffic fairly quickly. So these are the steps that we're going to be going through in this video to change your domain. I'll put them up now. Step one is that we obviously need to register a new domain name. Maybe you've already done that, so you can skip that step. The second thing is we're going to back up the current website. Then we're going to create a new website on our hosting, and we're going to add the new domain. Step four is we're going to make a clone or a copy of the current website, and we're going to move it over to the new setup. Step five is we're going to point the domain at our new site on our hosting. Step six is we're going to update the URLs. Step seven, now this is very important, is we're going to redirect everything over so that if people do visit the old domain, they get automatically redirected over to the new one and end up in the right place. Step eight is we're going to do some testing, click around, make sure images are working and links are working too. And then finally, we're going to update Google via Google Search Console, let Google know that we've changed the domain name so they can come in and re-index and make sure everything is all good when it comes to search engines. And the final step, and this is optional, depends on whether you're running Google Analytics, is we're going to update Google Analytics, which is just a very simple change within the Google Analytics settings. So that's what we're going to be doing. I hope you're ready. I'm ready. Let's get on the computer. Let's change our domain name. So the website that I'm going to be changing the domain name on today is this one. It's Bow Wow Tech. It's an old site of mine. It's an old affiliate website. I don't really do much with it anymore, but it's currently on a .co.uk domain name. It's on bowwowtech.co.uk. And to make it more international, I'm going to change it to bowwowtech.com. The first thing that you need to do is register your new domain name if you haven't done so already. There's a number of places that you can register a domain name. Basically, just look for a domain registrar. A couple of my favorites are GoDaddy and Namecheap. This is GoDaddy right here, and you just simply type in the box at the top the domain name that you're looking for, and it will come back and let you know if it's available or some other alternatives if it's not. So, for example, if I do a search for Bow Wow Tech and do a search, it says that bowwowtech.com is taken. which it is because I already own it. I've already registered it, but then it's also offering some other alternatives. So hopefully you'll be able to find the domain name that you're after. Once you've registered your domain name, you're going to have to wait for a short period of time while the DNS and everything updates and it propagates all around the world. That can take an hour. Sometimes it can take a day. In really bad situations, it can take 2 days. But generally, I find within an hour or so, the new domain name is ready to use. The next thing we need to do, and this is really important, is to make a backup of the current website. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can either log into your hosting control panel, and hopefully they offer a backup solution, and you should be able to click backup now within your control panel, or you can do it through WordPress, which is what I'm going to do right now. So I'm back on the website. Let's go into the dashboard, and I've got a plugin installed. It's called Updraft Plus. You can find it within the plugins directory. Just go to add new plugins, add new plugin either, or add plugins. I can speak, honestly. Updraft is what you want to type into the search plugins box, and it's this one right here. Offers a free backup service. Once it's installed, you get the menu option down here, and then what you want to do is click the big blue button that says Backup Now. It gives you a couple of options here. So include your database, yes. Include your files, yes, we want that. Send this backup to remote storage, well, we don't need that right now. And allows backup to be deleted manually. We'll leave that unchecked. So let's click Backup Now, and that's going to take a few moments to create the backup. There we go. It's complete, and it only took 30 seconds maybe. Not even that long. It was really quick. So here's the backup here. Today is January 29th. And now we're going to want to download that to our computer and keep it nice and safe. So you want to click on each one of these buttons. So start with the database, download that to your computer, and then plugins, download that one to your computer. And yeah, basically make sure that you click on all of these buttons and download the 5 separate files that you get. I mean, hopefully we're not going to need the backup, but should something go wrong, it's always good to have it. So others is the final. They're all safely downloaded to my computer. The next thing we need to do is get our hosting ready for the new site, the new .com version of the site. This is my preferred way of doing it. Rather than trying to edit the live site, we make a copy, we move it to a new hosting package or a new hosting setup and make the changes there. Then we switch everything over to that new one. Hopefully you've got the capacity within your current hosting to do this. Most hosting companies offer multiple sites, so you can create the new hosting for the new renamed, updated domain name site. So let me jump into my hosting control panel. For this, I'm going to be using Kinsta Hosting, which are one of my favorite hosting providers, but of course, you can use any hosting company you like. Kinsta's one I recommend. Also, Hostinger are another good choice. So here's the Kinsta control panel. Now, of course, this process is going to vary slightly depending on which hosting company you're using, because they all have different control panels and dashboards, but the process is basically the same for all of them. The first thing I need to do is add my new site. So I'm going to go to Add Service, then WordPress site, and I'm going to choose the empty environment. I don't want WordPress pre-installed because we're basically going to bring over the entire site, WordPress and all. So yeah, I don't need WordPress to be installed. So let's choose empty environment and click Continue. Let's give it a name. Select the data center location. Let's go for Iowa. And now I need to wait just a few moments whilst the site is being created. Okay, so the site has been created. It took about a minute or so. So we can now come out of this and close this. And the site is now ready for us to move the old one to, and then update the domain name. Now, Kinsta have kindly created me my database and everything else that I need. So here's the database here. You are going to need a database for this because WordPress is a database-driven platform. So make sure you have one. If you haven't, it should be fairly easy to do within your hosting control panel. Just go into the database section and select Create New Database. Once you've done that, make a note of the database name, the database username, and the database password. You are going to need that in a few moments. So now what I'm going to do is go back to the site and I'm going to create a duplicator package, basically a package full of the website that we can move across to this new hosting. So let's do that. So I'm back in my WordPress dashboard and I'm going to install another plugin. So I'm going to go to plugins and add new, and I'm going to do a search for duplicator or duplicator, depending on how you like to say it. Here it is. It's this first one that's appeared called Duplicator. Let's click Install Now, then Activate. And now we're ready to create our package. So if I scroll down the bottom here, we've got Duplicator. Let's go to Backups. Then I'm going to click Create New. Bowwell Tech. That's fine. Let's click Next. It's come back with a report and looks like everything is okay. There's a notice within here. There's one database that may be, or two little bits of the database that are a little bit too big, possibly. We'll see what happens. Let's click Build. Okay, so it's finished and it's created two files. It's created the installer and the archive. We're going to need both of these files. So let's download the installer by clicking on Installer. Save that. And then the archive, click there and save that. So they're both downloaded. We now need to upload both of those files to the new site that we just created on our hosting. So let me jump back into my hosting control panel. And here we are. So there's a couple of ways that you can upload those files. The first is you can use the cPanel file manager within your hosting. Now, Kinsta doesn't actually have that, so I'm not going to be using that, but your hosting might, in which case, great, you can access the files through your browser. Just navigate to the root of the site and upload them there. But yeah, I can't do that, so I'm going to be using FTP. So FTP is basically just a simple way that you can copy files from your computer onto your web hosting server. In order to use FTP, you need an FTP client, which is basically just a little bit of software, an app, if you will, that you install on your computer. My favorite is one called FileZilla. You can download it from filezilla-project.org. I'll put a link to that in the description. And their website looks just like this. And you click on the big button, download FileZilla client, choose the right version for your computer. If you're on a Mac, an older Mac, it's the Intel one. If you're on a newer Mac like me, then it's the Apple Silicon one. If you're on Windows, a newer version, it's probably Windows 64-bit. But you should probably know what your computer is running. And if you're not sure, then just double check within your computer's settings. So here's FileZilla. I've got it downloaded and installed. So let's copy those files that we just downloaded from the old website, the site that we're changing the domain name on, up to the hosting that we've created for the new site. I'm going to go to File and Site Manager. I'm going to create a new site. I'm going to select the protocol as SFTP. You might want to check the protocol that you're using. I can see it's that here within my hosting, so that's what I want. Next, we need the host, so you can copy that from here, paste that in, and then we need the port, and copy that from here. Then we've got the username and password, so the username is here. And the password is here. Let's click connect. It says that the server's host key is unknown. It's fine. Let's trust it. I trust them. And here we go. We're in. So now what I want to do is copy those files from my computer into the site on the hosting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the public folder. This is the hosting I'm looking at right here. So I'm in the public folder. And then on the left side here, I've got my computer. And if I change it to last modified at the top, we've got our two files that I downloaded from the site from Duplicator. So these are the two that I need. So I'm going to just drag them over like that, and it's going to upload them for me. Okay, so that has finished the transfer. So now we're ready to run the installer and kind of extract the package and get the site set up on the new site on our hosting. So let's do that. So now what I need to do is visit my new site, and I can do this from my hosting dashboard. You should be able to see a link within your hosting dashboard to either a site preview or something like that. Here I've got this button that says visit site. So if I give that a click, I can see my empty site here. Now what I want to do is go to the URL and add installer.php, which is of course the file we just uploaded. Just initializing, and then we've just got a few things we need to set up within here. So this is where we need to enter the database information, and again I can find that within my hosting if I scroll down. The database name is here, so let's copy that and then go back to the installer, paste that in. I think the host is localhost, but there may be a different server address within your database details, so do check that. Next, we've got the username, so let's go and copy and paste that. Copy, paste. And then we need the password, so again, I'm going to copy and paste that in, like that. And then if we click and validate, yeah, we got the pass, pass. It's all looking good. So I've read and accepted all the terms and notices. Of course, I've read them all. And then let's click next. Run the installer with these settings. Yes, please. Let's go. So this is going to take a few moments. It's got to process 27,943 files. But there you go. It's already done 11,000, so it shouldn't take too long. Okay, so there we go. It's all done. It's given me a warning. It says that there is this htaccess file within WP content, which could be a problem. So let's remove that. I can do that via the FTP program FileZilla. So here is FileZilla, and as you can see, there's loads more files now on this right-hand side, which is, of course, the new website and all the stuff that we've just brought over using Duplicator. It said within WP content, there is a htaccess file, which will be that one there. Let's remove it, right-click and delete. There we go. It's gone. Okay, let's go back to the Duplicator report. So here we are back at Duplicator. So we need to click on the admin login now to log in and finalize this install. So let's click that. Okay, I've done that. Let's click admin login again. So now I need to log into WordPress. Let me just pop my username and password in. This is, of course, the username and password from the WordPress of the site we just moved. There we go. We're all moved over. The site has been successfully migrated. The final thing we might want to do is just remove the installation files. We can do that down here. Click remove installation files. I think they've already been done, so that's fine. So next thing I need to do is update the domain name settings. So let's do that right now. I'm going to jump back into my hosting control panel. Here we are. So I'm going to go into domains. And I'm going to add a domain. And the domain is, of course, bowwowtech.com. Now let's click add domain. Now, my host is asking me to verify ownership of the domain. Your host may or may not ask you to do this. So it's saying I need to add a few records to the DNS. So let me log into GoDaddy and we can do this right now. So I'm in GoDaddy and I'm in the settings for my domain name. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into DNS and I'm going to add a new record. The first record it wants is a TXT record. And then I'm going to go back to Kinsta. You can see TXT record is the first thing it wants. And for the name host, it wants this. So I'm just going to copy that to clipboard, then back to GoDaddy. Paste that in there. And then back to Kinsta. I'm going to copy this value and paste it into GoDaddy. So that's all pasted in. TTL is fine. There's half an hour. Let's click save. It's fine. Okay, that's added. I just need to add one more. So add new record. Let's get the details from Kinsta. This time it's a CNAME. Let's copy the name host. So choose an option, CNAME. Let's get the value. And there we go. They're both added. So let's go back to Kinsta and click OK. I've done it. Now that's going to take a couple of minutes for the DNS to update and for Kinsta to just verify me. So, well, I'll wait a few minutes. Okay, so the domain has been verified. It only took about 30 minutes or so. So now we just need to point that domain to the new site, or the moved site, I should say. So I can click on point domain. And here's the information we need to repoint the domain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this information into GoDaddy. So first off, let's copy this IP address. Then I'm going to go back into GoDaddy. You'll, of course, do this on your domain registrar. So I'm back in GoDaddy. I'm within the DNS settings for the domain name bowwowtech.com. And it wants me, well, Kinsta want me to add the A record, which is the main record that points the domain at the website. And I've already actually got one in here. It's got this IP address in it, so I can just edit it. But if you don't have an A record with the little @ then you're going to need to add one. There's an add new record button at the top. You should be able to find the same button within your domain registrar. But I'm just going to edit this. Just take out that IP address, paste in the one from Kinsta, and click save. I need to verify myself, so let me just quickly do this. Okay, that's verified. That's done. The change should be fairly quick, but GoDaddy's warning me there that it could take 48 hours, which seems excessive. I think it'll be much quicker than that. So let's go back to Kinsta and get the other DNS record that it wants. This one is the CNAME. So it's just the domain name and www. I think we may already have that one, so let's check. So here we go back into GoDaddy, and yeah, we've already got the record that it wants, the CNAME, the www with the domain name in here. So you've probably got it too, but if you haven't, make sure that you add it to your DNS as well. So that's the records updated on GoDaddy. Let's go back to Kinsta and just finish off the process. And click OK, I've done it. So they're going to check that for me. What I want to do is I want to set this as the primary domain. So if I click on these three little dots and go to make primary domain. And then what I'm also going to do is just tick this box that's going to run a search and replace and get rid of the kind of temporary URL that we've been using, the one that ends .kinsta.cloud. It's going to swap all that out for me too. So let's click make primary. And that's just going to take a moment or two. There we go, and that should be good to go, all done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to update the domain name that's within the WordPress database so that it's set to .com rather than .co.uk. Now with Kinsta, I can do this within the hosting control panel. Hopefully your host has a similar feature. If not, I'd suggest reaching out to your host to help you with this. Basically what we're going to do is do a find and replace. We're going to look for bowwowtech.co.uk and we're going to replace it with bowwowtech.com. So in Kinsta, if I go into tools and go to search and replace, do a search for bowwowtech.co.uk. And then if I tick replace with bowwowtech.com. And then we just click replace. So now it's going to search. And there we go, it's done it. It says there was, what's that, 148,560 results replaced. So, well, that's a lot. So we can close this now. Let's just go back to info. In fact, let's go to domains. Now let's take a look. And here we go, it's working. We are now on bowwowtech.com. The site is here. It's looking good. We've just got a couple of things left to do. The first of those things is to set up some redirects from the old .co.uk site. So if anyone goes to an old URL or follows an old link, they get automatically redirected over to the .com version. Not only people, but also search engines too. It's very important that we get the redirects working. Once we've done that, I'll give the site a quick test. I mean, it all looks good. Everything seems to be working. To be honest, this site was a little bit neglected. It's a site that I've not worked on for a while, but it's exactly as it was, and it all seems to have come across well. So let's do those redirects. To do the redirects, I'm going to just install a very simple plugin onto the .co.uk version that will redirect the whole site over, but still give us access to the .co.uk WP admin if we need it. So let's go back to the .co.uk and get that set up. So here we are. I'm on the bowwowtech.co.uk website. I'm in the WordPress dashboard. And what I'm going to do is install a very simple plugin. In fact, it's so simple, it's called Simple Website Redirect. I found this is the easiest way to do it. There are other ways you can do it at the server level. You can use Nginx. You can do other stuff, but this is the easiest for sure. So it's this plugin here. It's called Simple Website Redirect. Click Install now. Click Activate, then we're good. Let's go down and find it in our plugins. It's right here. Let's click on Settings. And now what we need to do is enter the redirect URL in here, which is, of course, https bowwowtech.com. It's permanent, of course, and then we want to enable it. We've got some advanced settings here, which we don't really need to mess with. We definitely want to keep the URL paths. That's very important. So let's click Save Settings. So now, when I go back to this site, which is the .co.uk, it should just redirect me straight through to the .com. Let's have a look. There we are. We're on the .com. Now, just to double check it is all working correctly, in my clipboard, I've got a URL of one of the posts that was on bowwowtech.co.uk, this one, /dog food /brain games for your dog. So what should happen if I put this in, which is on the .co.uk, it should just take us through to the same article on the .com. So we know that everything is redirecting nicely. Let's have a look. There it is, brain games for your dog. If we check the URL, we can see that we are now on the .com. So that is working perfectly. I recommend now that you do just click round, make sure that everything is working as it should, that images are loading and everything seems to be as it should be, which it does for me. So we've got two things left to do. They're both related to Google. The first is to let Google know of the domain name change, and I'm going to do that through the Google Search Console. The second thing is to update Google Analytics. So let's do Google Search Console first. So I'm just going to log into Google Search Console. Here it is, and you can find it just by Googling Google Search Console. Hopefully you've already got it set up. If you haven't, I recommend you get it set up right now. It's very easy. Let's click Start Now. And here we are, we're in Google Search Console. I'm already on the correct site, which is bowwowtech.co.uk. What I do need to do is create a new profile for the .com version. So if I drop this down and go to Add Property, I'm going to use the URL prefix, go to https bowwowtech.com. Just verify me. Now, because I've got Google Analytics on the site, it's already verified me. If you haven't got Google Analytics, then it will offer you some other ways in which you can verify. But I'm all good, so let's go to Property. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to the .co.uk, and I'm going to go to Settings, and then Change of Address, and then I'm going to select the new site, which is the one I just added, bowwowtech.com, Validate and Update. It's happy because we've got verification. It's happy because we've already done those redirects. Let's confirm the move. We're all good. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, there's a good chance you're going to lose a bit of SEO traffic, a bit of search traffic for a little while once you change domain. But hopefully by doing this, it should recover fairly quickly. So the final thing we're going to do is update Google Analytics. So let me just log into Google Analytics. Now, of course, the tracking code has already come across with the site. You know, it's basically the same site. So it's already got the Google Analytics tracking code. What we do need to do is just update the URL within the Google Analytics settings. So let's do that. So here we are. I'm in Google Analytics. You can see that there's a bit of traffic coming through. It's not a very busy site, as you can see. But let's update that URL. So I'm going to go down and click on the admin cog down here, and then I'm going to go to data streams and click on the main stream, and you can see here is the URL. I'm going to click on the pencil, change it to .com, update stream, and there we go. And that should be it. We're all done. Everything's moved. Everything's migrated. It wasn't too bad, was it? Hopefully you've been successful too with your domain name change. So there we go. I hope you've been able to change your domain name successfully and everything is working well. Let me know in the comments how it went, or let me know if you've got any questions. I'll do my best to answer as many as I possibly can. If you like this video, please click the like button below. Make sure you subscribe too to avoid missing any future Brainstorm Force videos. But until next time, I wish you the best of luck with your website. See you later.